Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to talk about Atomic Silver production statistics on the GS-F, also known as Sonic Titanium. It's paint code 1J7. And these cars, it's a silver base with sort of a gold top coat before it was cleared. So it's like a goldish colored silver. And when you see it right next to a liquid platinum car, which is like the straight up silver cars, you'll definitely notice a difference. But some people would argue that this is one of the better looking or best looking colors for the GS body style in general, not just the GS-F. It does fit it very well with the spindle grille, things like that. But anyway, that's for another video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the statistics. I have my notes here, so here we go. So Atomic Silver worldwide, we have 500, and let me back up here. So for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna call it Atomic Silver, but again, in other markets, Sonic Titanium and different names for the same color. It's paint code 1J7, that's all you need to know. So anyway, worldwide Atomic Silver, 514 cars is what we have. 514 out of the roughly 5,800 cars. So you're looking at about a little over 10% of the production of these cars was Atomic Silver. And so out of the 514 cars, 10.5% of production, it is the third most common color out of the 11 colors that was offered for the GS-F. If you remember me talking in the other videos, 54% of these cars worldwide were either black or white. So if you see one of these cars, it's rare enough to find one, but if you see one that isn't black or white, you know that it's even more rare. So Atomic Silver being roughly 10%, you have a 1 in 10 chance of, when you spot a GS-F, of finding one that is Atomic Silver. So now let's go ahead and break down the production by market. So here's my notes. 328 for the USA, 49 out of the 2347 cars that are identified for the market except Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Guam, etc. 10 for Canada out of 71, 3 for Hawaii out of 17, none for Guam out of 2, 5 for Puerto Rico out of 23 cars there, 83 for Japan out of the 1,666 identified there, 6 for Australia out of the 147 cars there, 8 for New Zealand out of 50 cars, 0 for Hong Kong out of 3, one left-hand drive Europe car out of 132 cars, and I have met the owner of that car, originally a German registration car, and a super cool dude, but anyway, he has a one-of-one car. 9 right-hand drive Europe out of 68, so that's the UK, Malta, Singapore, well, I don't think Singapore. Basically, right-hand drive Europe cars. And we had 49 of these cars in the Gulf Corporation Council, the GCC, out of 191 cars. It's actually the second most common color there because, of course, the lighter cars, you're in the desert, and you know that makes a lot of sense. General market cars are Peru, Mexico, things like that. Just, you know, South America, North America, Central America, left-hand drive cars. The general market cars are left-hand drive. So you're not going to see like a South Africa car because those are right-hand drive. So those kind of cars, it's pretty rare that you're going to come across those. I have seen a few of them in my research, but not an Atomic Silver one. And so, of course, we had 8 pre-production cars out of the 78 cars for pre-production. That's early 2015, so like July production I think is when they made the pre-production cars. 8 of them were Atomic Silver. Most, but not all of those have been crushed, so those are gone. So let's jump into the 328 USA 49 cars. 10 of them had the LA10 interior, which is called Stratus Gray. It's like a white interior. 151 had LA20 black interior, and 167 had the LA30, which is the red interior. All of the North American market cars, except for Canada, had, well, all of the US 49 market cars had standard carbon fiber trim. We didn't get the forged carbon fiber. We didn't get the Naguri aluminum, which is kind of the diamond stitch look trim. So all we got was a standard carbon fiber trim, and of course it delaminates, as you've heard me talk about in the other videos. None of the Atomic Silver cars had the LA03 interior, which is only offered in the North American market for 2020, and that is the black and white interior. None of them had it. So if you see one, it's not original. Breaking it down even further, let's go by year. 2016, there were 199 cars out of the 1417, or about 14%, that were Atomic Silver. 8 had white, 91 had black, and 100 with red interior. So Atomic Silver with red is the most common for 2016. 2017, there were 58 out of the 342 cars, or about 17% of these cars being Atomic Silver. 2 had white, 26 had black, 30 had red. Again, Atomic Silver with red, most common that you're going to find for 2017 with these cars. 2018, 39 cars out of the 169, 2018 being the lowest production year. That's about 23% of these cars were Atomic Silver, so a little higher percentage there. 2018 and forward, they dropped the Stratus Gray, the LA10 interior, so your choices were either red or black. 19 had black, 20 had red, so squeaked out by one, still the most common Atomic Silver with red. 2019, there were 15 cars out of the 233 that were identified, or about 6.5%, so dropped significantly. 8 were black, 7 were red, so Atomic Silver with black is the most common for 2019, but again, there's only 8 of them. 2020, final year, there were 17 cars out of the 186 that were identified, or about 9%. 7 were black, 10 were red. So again, we're back to Atomic Silver with red being the most common. So all years except for 2019, Atomic Silver with red interior is the most common that you're going to come across. So as of July 2025, here we are. Out of those 328 cars, there's only 180 left that are clean title, no accidents, or no damage reported on the Carfax, that's about 55%, which is a little bit higher than the average that I saw with the other colors of 52 to 53% of these cars are clean title, no accidents. 10 years on, that's still pretty sad when you think about it, that nearly half of these cars have some kind of accident or damage reported on it. So when you come across one for sale, it's not surprising to see, oh, it's got a minor damage or something like that. Things to keep in mind with that is that the front ends of these cars and the windshields, the windscreens, are very expensive. So it's very common that you may see that someone gets a cracked windscreen, they'll turn it in under insurance, and then Carfax will show damage reported, minor reported, or it may not specify where, and all it is a windshield replacement. So that is something to keep in mind, that you have to do your due diligence. If it says it's a moderate to severe accident or something, yeah, I'd be concerned. Again, further on those 328 cars, so we have the 180 with a clean title, no accident. 74 have 1 accident or damage reported with still a clean title. 20 have 2, 4 have 3, 2 have 4 accidents, and 1 has 5 accidents or damage reported and somehow still has a clean title. Don't know how that happens, other than it's maybe the same panel or something that's been repaired or replaced, bumper, what have you. Again, I've talked about it in other videos. The front bottom lip of these cars is carbon fiber, and that piece is like $8,500. And so all it takes is hitting that with a parking curb or a parking stone or something like that, and turn it in under insurance, and it'll show up as a minor accident, maybe more because of the price. So you're talking about a little scuff with the curb, and it's $10,000. Two of the Atomic Silver cars have been stolen, and one has been recovered, one hasn't. Both are in California. All of these cars that have been stolen just about have been in California. Don't know what's going on out there, but I've talked about it in other videos, and I will continue to talk about it in the future. These cars, there is a defect in the systems of being able to steal them. I'm not going to get into details because I'm not going to show how it's done, but obviously there is an issue with these cars that somebody has figured out in California on how to steal them, and I will make a video in the future about how to prevent that. But for now, again, this is a production video, not into the other stuff. So out of all of those 328 cars, there is still 1 car that has never been titled. So it's sitting off in someone's collection. It doesn't appear to be a Lexus-owned car, which means it was not a driving school car. It was not a car that just got the bejesus beat out of it for the first 10, 15,000 miles, and then they sell it at an auction. It's to its first owner. That's not the case. So it was delivered in Ohio. They installed PPF, paint protection film, on the front, and nothing has happened to it since November of 2016. I would assume that this car is probably, it was dealer prepped, they put clear film on it, and it probably went into a dealership owner's collection, something like that. It's never been titled, it's still sitting on its MSO, doesn't even have a first owner yet. So I think that's probably the case, but there is only one Atomic Silver car like that. So a little further, of those 328 cars, there's 20 of them that have been either salvage, title, or exported. So either wrecked and bought, sent overseas, whatever. I've tracked, once they left the US, I can't track them anymore for Carfax and Epic VIN and some of these other programs that I use to track them. But yeah, there's 20 of them that are gone. And so finally, there's only about 66 cars, or 20%, that are still with their original owners. So you're talking about one owner cars, and that's 15 to 20% is about what I'm seeing here 10 years on from when production first started. That's pretty in line with what you see with most other cars too. But that's to say that there's a small percentage of these cars that still kicking with the original owner. These people bought them new and they love them. And they still are holding on to them. Interestingly enough, the one owner cars that you see for these, they are typically the higher mileage cars. So these people bought them to enjoy them and drive them. They did not turn into kind of, they've turned into a more collectible type of car or an enthusiast type of car, but the original owner cars generally have higher mileage. Not always, but generally. Those 66 one owner cars, 50 of them, or about 15% of all of these cars, are one owner, no accident cars that still exist. So 15% of all Atomic Silver cars are one owner, no accident cars. That's a lot higher than the average that I've seen for the other colors, however, which is generally around 10%. So these cars in Atomic Silver, again, a more popular color, you have more people that are owning them, holding on to them as a percentage of the whole. So let's talk about the mileage. Lowest mileage is, of course, the untitled one in Ohio. It was delivered and it has the last reported mileage of 92 miles. But outside of that, there's one in California with 1,048 miles. There's also another one in California with 1,252 miles. But there's actually quite a few of these cars in Atomic Silver that are hanging out with 4-digit mileage, so less than 10,000 miles. And surprisingly enough, they're in California as well. If they're not in Florida, they're in California. That seems like, you have a lot of short trips where you don't put a lot of miles on them if you live in the city, and they just sit in your garage for the most part. It looks like there's 8 total that have less than 8,000 miles. There's a lot of low mile examples of these Atomic Silver cars that still exist. Again, most of them being in California, but they are out there. So when you see them pop up on Bring a Trailer, on Cars and Bids, on Auto Trader, wherever else, don't be surprised, but they're also gonna ask a premium price for those, I'm sure. So that's the lowest mileage. What about the highest mileage? There's actually one that recently changed hands this past February, 2025, and it was a 2018. So again, the lowest production year, and it's actually the highest mileage. It's in Maryland. It has a red interior, orange brake calipers, and it sold for only $25,000. And someone put it on Facebook Marketplace, and it got snatched up super quick. It was clean title, but it had one accident, and in February of this year, it had 182,000 miles. So good to see that that's driven. It's winter driven, so I don't know what it's going to look like underneath, but for $25,000, you can't be too picky. Heck of a deal, even with the mileage, but that's VIN 2701. Anybody wants to look that up on the spreadsheet. Super awesome to see, and that these cars are getting driven. The highest mileage as of right now for any of the cars is, I believe it's 256,000 miles. It's a one owner white, ultra white 083 paint code in Mississippi. And so it has like 4 accidents or something like that, but it's still with its original owner, still getting driven, probably daily driven and a long distance. So anyway, that's what I have for you for the Atomic Silver cars. Very cool color. I like it. You know, if the right one came along, I'd love to scoop up a second one. But anyway, that's what I have. So thanks again for watching, guys. See you soon.